Hello and welcome to Diplomatic Channel. I am Amarachi Obani. President Muhammadu Buhari made a bold move on Tuesday last week when he advised the UN General Assembly to pursue negotiation with North Korea. Now, it seemed odd coming from an African leader, but when the leader of the most populous black nation in the world, Africa's big brother, says pursue negotiations, then the world needs to listen. And here is why. Sanctions have not worked with North Korea, and it does appear they never will. Not even the latest economic sanctions imposed by President Donald Trump. North Korea has shown it will continue its nuclear tests for as long as President Trump continues to engage in rhetoric against its leader, Kim Jong-un. Remember, days after the last UN resolution against the reclusive state, North Korea went ahead to test a missile over Japan. I think we've also come to discover a common trait in both leaders. Both of them probably never backed down from a fight, and neither appears willing to take the higher road, despite calls for more diplomacy and less rhetoric, as advised by the United Nations. There's also been a lot of name-calling on both sides, one calling the other Rocket Man, and Kim Jong-un calling President Trump a dotard. The rest of the world clearly does not want to be dragged into another war, either between the United States and North Korea or any war at all. The rest of the world does not want to be dragged into another war, period. So North Korea really drew a lot of attention at the UNGA. President Kim Jong-un was not present at the assembly, but he did send a message through his foreign minister, Ri Yong-ho, and this is what he said on Saturday. I feel forced to make comments on the speech uttered 4 days ago by someone called the US president that rendered this sacred UN arena tainted. Since Trump uttered such reckless and violent words provoking the supreme dignity of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea at this very platform, I think it is fair enough for me to make a response in the corresponding tone. During his 8 months in power, he has turned the White House into a noisy marketing place full of crackling sounds of abacus beads, and now he has tried to turn the UN arena into a gangster's nest where money is respected and bloodshed is the order of the day. The absurd reality that a person like Trump, a mentally deranged person full of megalomania and complacency, the person who is chastised even by American people as Commander-in-Grief, Lion King, President Evil, is holding the seat of the US president, and the dangerous reality that the gambler who grew old using threats, frauds, and all other schemes to acquire a patch of land holds the nuclear button. These are what constitute the gravest threat to the international peace and security today. End of quote. It makes you want to ask, what did President Trump say about North Korea? I allow him to speak for himself.
The United States has great strength and patience. But if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea.
The US president did not stop there, but went on to tweet on Friday that North Korea's Kim will be tested like never before. Mr. Kim Jong-un had some choice words for the US president. State media reported he was considering the highest level of hardline countermeasure in history against the United States. He called Trump mentally deranged and his comments the most ferocious declaration of a war in history. The name calling is quite new in the rhetoric by both leaders. During the week, I couldn't help asking international affairs analyst Curtis Adigba on why President Trump could be spoiling for war with leader Kim Jong-un.
I think he's been spoiling for war. Here is a president who believes that the only way people can respect him is to show that he's a strong man. And then they started the rhetoric for a very long time now. The UN ambassador, US UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, started by saying they've been kicking the can down the road, and there was no more road to kick the can, and that all options were on the table. And then Trump said it was going to be fire and fury. And as soon as he said that, Kim Jong-un has launched more than 5 rockets, and nothing has happened up to this moment. So he understands that, look, this is an intricate issue, and that China was not going to stand by and allow the US to annihilate Kim Jong-un and North Korea. Look, the problem here is that Donald Trump is like a child who is playing with a dangerous, venomous snake, but thinks he's playing with a toy. This is a very complex issue. Steve Bannon is the man he just sacked, who was his advisor on strategy, said, look, there are no military options here. Because you see, it's not just about North Korea, it's about China. China has got a lot of leverage on North Korea, and China wants North Korea to remain a communist country so that they also can have a neighbor. Okay. So it's not just going to be, you know, America descending on North Korea and destroying North Korea.
Apart from Nigeria, other countries at the UN General Assembly pitched into the discussion on North Korea.
Let's begin with the controversial voice of reason from Russia. President Vladimir Putin has at different occasions warned that more sanctions against North Korea would not force a regime change, neither will it cause the country to change course on its nuclear program. That message was reiterated by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at the UN on Friday. Lavrov said the leaders of North Korea and the United States needed to tone down their bellicose rhetoric and warned that a collapse of a nuclear deal between Iran and world powers would only embolden Pyongyang. He told reporters at a press briefing that the exchange of threats is bad and unacceptable, adding that he was convinced a Russian-Chinese proposal could still pave the way for a diplomatic solution to the North Korean crisis. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop warned the international community about the threat of the North's nuclear missiles program. She said it was crucial that all member states, and especially the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, strictly implement sanctions imposed on North Korea.
The United Nations Security Council is the custodian of international peace and security. Yet the authority of the Council is being challenged, undermined, even ignored. The most egregious example is North Korea. The regime of Kim Jong-un is openly defying the United Nations Security Council. Its illegal nuclear and missile programs violate multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions. The security of millions of people is at risk as a result of North Korea's refusal to abide by international laws and norms.
Japan's foreign minister said some nations in Asia, the Middle East and Africa have agreed to stop reissuing foreign work visas to North Koreans, a move Mr. Taro Kono said could amount to as much as $500 million a year in foreign revenue for Pyongyang.
Can you believe there are more than 160 countries that have diplomatic ties with North Korea, the biggest threat to the world today? A number of countries still accept many North Korean workers and maintain their economic ties with North Korea. We have to urge those countries to cut off their diplomatic and economic relationship with North Korea. By fully implementing the relevant Security Council resolutions, we must stop the flow of people, goods, money, and technology into North Korea. We must work together with countries in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Africa to close the loopholes in the sanctions.
South Korea's President Moon Jae-in called for the North Korean nuclear crisis to be handled in a stable manner so that peace was not destroyed. He told the General Assembly that sanctions are needed to bring Pyongyang to the negotiating table and force it to give up its nuclear weapons, though it's not seeking North Korea's collapse, and the international community is ready to help the country if it stands with the right side of history. On Friday, South Korea denounced North Korea following the statement it issued, warning of the highest level of countermeasures against US President Trump's speech. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who has been on the campaign trail, said a military solution would lead to misfortune, and she wanted to do everything possible to encourage dialogue and make the world a safer place.